Hi, I'm Gray Cook, and Brett Jones has joined me to discuss Secrets of the Shoulder with you today. Secrets of the Shoulder is a DVD project that we put together when we combined our cumulative knowledge, basically from a strength conditioning background and from a physical therapy background, to let you know some of the things that we all forget about when we're looking at shoulders, when we're training shoulders, when we're screening shoulders, when we're trying to change the way shoulders move. Now, the first thing I want you to understand is the assumption is that a strong shoulder is a stable shoulder, and that's not necessarily the case. We see bodybuilders with shoulder impingement all the time. We see lifters with very poor posture, and they couldn't throw a ball if they had to. Conversely, we see throwing athletes that don't have enough strength or stability in their shoulder to really counteract the stress of a throw. So there are a lot of things out there that are common to all shoulders, and that's what we want to discuss. You can take this program and make it fundamental for the throwing athlete, fundamental for the striking or fighting athlete, and even fundamental for the lifting athlete and everybody in between. We want to basically clean up shoulders, and we want to do that in a couple of different categories.
And that brings us to the secrets of the shoulder, and we've really narrowed that down to 4 areas that we think are really important for balancing the shoulder and looking at the shoulder as part of the system. And that's going to be breath, posture, grip, and joint position. These 4 things come together to make a wholly functioning system and to get the shoulder integrated, make it work the way that it's supposed to work.
Well, wait a second. You didn't mention pecs or deltoids or traps or triceps or biceps, and you're talking about shoulder.
And the first thing we talked about was breath.
Right, okay.
And that's what, in the Western society, we just don't breathe right. And what happens is we get a lot of problems in the thoracic, spine, and rib cage because we don't breathe. We don't know how to use our diaphragm. We're going to cover that and show you how to integrate that into your program. But then that also leads us into posture. What does posture have to do with a healthy shoulder?
Right. Well, you wonder about that. You're talking about all these things that we don't even almost consider when we're coaching somebody through an exercise or a move, and yet this is what underlies a lot of the most powerful throwing athletes, say a shot put, discus thrower, javelin thrower, but also say a striking athlete like a martial artist. They implement all this stuff and yet have unbelievable power. We're not doing it. We got big old sculpted shoulders that don't function well.
So what's up with posture?
Posture is something we don't even consider when training the shoulder. Now, we may maybe position an athlete, but we don't really think about body posture, where they're driving from, how are they using their shoulder as a lever to move something. That's a huge thing. Setting up the posture sets up the framework for everything you do.
Which would lead us into grip.
Talk to me.
Something that people don't consider in their shoulder is their grip. There's a concept called irradiation. The stronger I squeeze here, the stronger all the nerves and muscles fire along that chain. So we're going to integrate the grip into shoulder training as a means of increasing the neurological efficiency of the shoulder, get that rotator cuff firing the way it's supposed to, not the way we test it and think it should be working. Which leads us into really joint position. How does joint position work with the shoulder?
Well, that sort of builds right on the neurological principles you said. Your brain knows that if you grip something hard, I've got to pack this shoulder to handle whatever it is I'm holding on to, because it could be a wild animal or a limb and I'm falling off of a cliff. Who knows? But if we also look at some other things that neurologically fix the shoulder into a better position, this is without you thinking about it. This is not the big muscles. This is the rotator cuff musculature stimulated by both joint compacting or joint compression and joint distraction, which makes total sense because any time an irregular force is imposed on the shoulder, what's the first muscle we want to contract? The rotator cuff. That's the way the rotator cuff is naturally used. And even though we test its weakness with internal-external rotation, that's not how we train it.
And because that muscle fires, because that rotator cuff functions at a level that we just can't consciously control, we got to tap into those neurological resources, get the shoulder doing what it was originally meant to do in the first place.
So you're going to give us a lot of tricks we can use to unlock some of these secrets of the shoulder. I think the first place we got to go is we're all about screening. We're the ones that brought you the functional movement screen, and we want to basically dig deep into the shoulder and take the superficial movement screen and show you how we unlock some of these potential problems. You may have well addressed 3 of these issues and may only uncover the fourth issue, working with grip or something like that. But what we want to do is walk you through slowly some of the things that are often overlooked in a shoulder training program.
Because if you don't screen and you miss that weak link, client or patient gets injured. And once they're injured, you're not going to get anywhere in your conditioning program.
That's what we're going to look for. The weak link rules the chain. So if we can find that in a shoulder, probably give it back to you.